Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Soul Good. I'm Amber Marie, and this is your May 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find all sorts of goodies, including a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. I would also like to remind you that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so please do take only what resonates with you and leave the rest. Before we jump in, I have a couple of things to share. First of all, my eye keeps going blurry. And it was not happening before I came into your reading. So it is my left eye, which the left side of the body is correlated with the feminine energy. Okay. Which is really interesting because I just had something really funky happen with my right ear and the right side of the body is the masculine side. So this is really, really interesting to me because I feel like there could be some sort of imbalance. Maybe that means something to you, maybe not. But I feel like maybe there are things that you're not seeing or not hearing or aren't paying attention to, because this thing that I just had with my ear, it's almost like when everything goes muffled or if you're like underwater or something, but it was that with like a simultaneous ringing. So I feel like there's something that maybe you're not hearing or not seeing. In addition to that, I'm getting the sign Aries. So I don't know if that means something to you, if you have Aries in your chart, if you're dealing with someone who's in Aries or something like that, but I feel like there could be something going on with an Aries, and maybe this is the area where you're not seeing something clearly or not hearing something clearly. And by hearing something, I just want to say that that may not necessarily be like hearing with your physical sense of hearing. It could be your intuition. Is what I'm picking up. So do take that again as it resonates with you. I also want to share with you that I feel like there are some of you who could potentially be dealing with or going back and forth on or potentially gaining clarity on how you feel about being part of a tribe or part of a pack, if you will, like a wolf pack, or, being a lone wolf. And I feel like this kind of back and forth, if you will, or this, I'm not really sure where I stand, or maybe I should explore this more, or something like that, I feel like it's coming from some healing going on around maybe rejection or abandonment, and that being focused more so on potentially groups. So again, take that as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't, but it's just an energy that I'm feeling coming in. And it's super fascinating to me, right? Because as Gemini, it's that very kind of communicative and connected type of energy, right? But I don't know. I just feel like there are some of you who are like, or have been kind of anti-tribe or like community, perhaps, like kind of the loner type of energy. So again, if it resonates, cool. If not, that's okay too. Let's jump in and see what you have going on for you. Thank you so much for joining me. It is such an absolute blessing for me to be able to be here to read for you and to share with you this spread that I've created for this month, looking at what have you conquered, where are you gaining clarity, what do you have the opportunity to change, and what might you be celebrating now or in the future. Okay, so let's dive in for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us, please, what has Gemini conquered? Okay, thank you. Interesting. Where is Gemini gaining clarity, please? Where is Gemini gaining clarity, please? Okay, thank you. What does Gemini have the opportunity to change? Which is interesting because I just looked up and we were at 5 minutes. Oh, good God. 5 minutes, 5 seconds. And fives are about change. So that's really interesting. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, there they are. Thank you. Tell us, please, what might Gemini be celebrating now or in the future? Yep, there it is. Thank you. Let's get some clarity. Tell us more, please, about what Gemini has conquered. Tell us more, please, about what Gemini has conquered. Okay. Tell us more, please, about where Gemini has or is gaining clarity. More, please, about where Gemini has or is gaining clarity. Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please, about what Gemini has the opportunity to change. Okay, we're going to take the first cards that came out, or first card rather. And tell us more, please, about what Gemini might be celebrating now or in the future. More, please, about what, okay, thank you. Okay, let's get some advice, clarity, or excuse me, I'm getting fear coming up. Okay, so nothing comes from nothing. I'm a very firm believer in that, especially when it comes to readings. So I got that word clarity, which is not what I would use for this part of the spread. And then fear coming up, like manifesting within me physically and being released immediately after. So I do feel like there are some fears that you're gaining clarity on, right? And potentially releasing those as well. So tell us, please, what advice, guidance, or encouragement does Gemini need for this month? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're just going to set those to the side. Let's jump in and see. What have you conquered, Gemini? We do have the Moth here. So I do feel like there are those listening who have essentially conquered that moth to the flame. So I feel like you could have been continuously going back to, let's say, behaviors, habits, stories, people, places, situations that simply were not serving you. Okay. And I feel like for some of you, you may have conquered this in the sense of you've decided or you've chosen to no longer subject yourself to those things. These could have, again, this could be things outside of yourself, like people, relationships or situations, jobs, living situations, right? Things like this. But it could also be things within you, right? Or maybe a combination of both. But things within you like habits and behaviors and stories that you've told yourself or stories that you've taken on and, you know, continue to tell yourself and patterns essentially that you've been repeating. But I feel like somewhere you may have just decided like this is not good for me, or this is not serving me, or I'm just over it. Okay. So I do feel like that. I mean, and that's something pretty big to conquer, let me just say, because a lot of people struggle to do that, right? To struggle to accept and acknowledge this is where I'm essentially screwing myself over, and then struggle to move forward, to actually stop engaging in those things. So interesting, I feel, because you have two. You have the moth and a butterfly here. So, you know, I do feel like there's a rather large transformation taking place within you, Gemini. And what's very interesting about this Two of Pentacles here is that it is essentially that, how would you say, making decisions balancing your your priorities, like what is most important to me, especially, and this could be in partnerships as well. Twos are about partnerships, or can be rather. But I feel like this has created more balance in your life, being able to decide what is conducive to your growth and what is helpful for you and what is for your highest good and what isn't, and then deciding to, move away from the things, let's say, that aren't serving you, is something, again, I feel like you've conquered. For whatever reason, I feel like there could have been a space where maybe you I want to say maybe you struggle not only to see those things that, let's say, were like, you were like a moth to a flame. Um, but I also feel like these could have been situations where you struggled to make a choice, where you felt, how would you say, again, there's that energy coming up of potentially these things making you feel imbalanced, or making you feel you like it's just not good for me, right? So I feel like there's been this conquering of that imbalance. There's been this conquering of the overwhelm, let's say, or the, again, it keeps coming up as like imbalance, the imbalance of whatever this was that was essentially burning you over and over and over, or causing you imbalance, disharmony, discomfort over and over and over again. I feel like you've separated yourself from that in some way, which is pretty powerful. Okay, that's pretty powerful. Um, with the Two of Pentacles here, this could have been a Capricorn perhaps, which is interesting because I haven't felt very called to pull that into many of these readings, but with you, for some reason, I am. So there could have been a Capricorn involved here, or maybe you have some Capricorn in your chart, and maybe that's what's like kicked in for you, because that Capricorn energy is very, how would you say, like disciplined and strategic and responsible, and determined and things like this. So that could have been what like kicked it in for you. But I do feel like these decisions are, or these things that you've conquered, have been transforming your life, or helping you to transform your life, based on the fact that we have this moth here with the butterfly. So let's take a look at where you have, or where you are gaining clarity. We do have the lizard here. Yes, like I was saying, the lizard energy is one of understanding that spending too much time in certain spaces, especially in social situations, can be draining. It's the importance of stepping back from those things. And so I feel like this is where, again, where you're gaining that clarity, or have gained that clarity, which, if you've conquered this, right, you've conquered not continuously going back to the same groups of people or the same relationships or what have you, this makes so much sense, because it's like, I understand that doing this is not helpful for me. It is toxic to me. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like how I feel, because the lizard gets burnt out. It feels exhausted after spending so much time, out and about, or in these groups, or with these people, right? Because it's a very sensitive animal. Okay. And if you look here, it almost, not quite, but almost blends in with the background. And what I'm picking up there is like taking on things that simply are not yours. Right. And this could be behaviors, this could be habits, this could be stories, this could be just energy in general, but picking up on things that simply aren't yours, and that is detrimental to you, or has been in the past. We also have the raccoon here. Yeah, gaining clarity on, I feel like that this is partially where your masks are, and where you've been hiding bits of yourself, potentially behind maybe some of these things that you've picked up and taken on from others, or, stories perhaps. But I also feel that this could be gaining clarity on others' masks as well. So, for an example, like I shared, this situation here with the moth and the butterfly could have something to do potentially with a Capricorn. Or I mentioned before the reading that, there's an Aries energy that I was picking up on. So, this could potentially be gaining clarity, or, maybe you will or have gained clarity on where there are people in your life who are wearing masks, who are not being fully themselves or presenting themselves truthfully to you or others, right? And I feel like there's another layer here about how that could have been negatively influencing you or affecting you, right? Again, I don't know why here, but I'm just going to share an example. Like this would be a situation, and maybe you resonate with this, maybe you don't, but just to give it some context, or to give it like a physical manifestation, this could be somebody who, let's say, is into drugs, and you were never into drugs, or maybe drinking or something like that, and this person is like rubbed off on you, and then all of a sudden you're doing things and you don't even know why you're doing them, right? And it's like, oh wait, like why am I why am I doing this? This is not something that I actually want to do necessarily, or that I ever envisioned myself doing, or something like that. So I'm not saying that that's your story. I'm just giving, again, like a physical manifestation of what that might look like. And it doesn't have to be, let's say, drugs or alcohol. It could be anything, literally anything that you just simply aren't necessarily in alignment with, or weren't, and all of a sudden found yourself doing it because it's like, I don't know. I don't know why it feels that way. I don't know. Again, though, there is an element here of wearing those masks and not being fully who you are, or being around people who are wearing masks and not being fully who they are in their truth. And oftentimes this is because of wounding trauma programming, things that we're carrying and not dealing with. So it's not really a surprise. I mean, many people, myself included, have worn masks at some point in their life or another, and many still are, simply because they aren't addressing their things. Okay. So it's not like it's a, how would you say, like a one-off type situation. Okay. So, I wouldn't beat yourself up about it, but just understand, like, these are things that you're getting clarity on. And if you are paying attention, if you're listening, it's going to be very obvious. Yeah, you also have here the Three of Swords. And I mean, this is that suffering, that heartbreak, that grief. So again, right, seeing where you may have, again, taken on things that maybe weren't yours. So again, right, if there's somebody, let's say, we'll use the same example from before, who is engaging in drug use, and they're doing it to hide pain and cover pain, and all of a sudden you found yourself sucked into it and you don't even know why. It's like that trauma bonding, right? But I do feel that again, the masks that we wear are often because of the pain that we're holding. And so I feel like you could be gaining clarity on this, especially within yourself, right? Oh, I'm actually wearing this mask because I'm afraid of this. Okay. Which is interesting because, again, there was that element at the beginning before we dove into the reading around rejection and abandonment, right? So these are things that could be coming up, this hurt, this pain, this grief, or these things that you've suffered through, that are asking for your attention, that you're likely to be gaining clarity on, so you can move forward from them, you can heal from them. Okay. Or to be made aware of where you're picking up on other people's things, or carrying other people's traumas. Yeah, we also have here the Two of Wands here in the reverse. And this is an energy of fear of change, playing it safe. I mean, I'm going to be real. It's like bad planning too. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been hanging out with these people, or, continuing to go back to this situation. But again, you're gaining clarity here, and this is important. This is also a card in the upright. It's like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I feel like there's been this fear of being uncomfortable. Okay. So something I've noticed as well about your reading thus far is that we have 2, 3, and 2. So we're like pretty fresh, if you will, in the minor arcana in these suits. And so that's telling me like that you are in the early stages of something, of transforming, of understanding, of acknowledging, of moving through these elements, if you will, or these suits to discover something new about yourself, to grow, right? So it feels kind of fresh and kind of new. Okay, I feel like these are likely newer developments. And I just want to share, like, new can be like 2 years ago new. Okay, it could be 2 days ago, it could be 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago as well, right? Of course, but it doesn't have to be like new as in like 2 seconds. Okay, it could be like 2 years ago, but these are newer, I feel, developments where you're starting to really kind of put the pieces together. So let's see here what you have the opportunity to change. We do have the Otter here, so I feel like there's something here about bringing more playful energy into your experience and having the opportunity to change that, having the opportunity to seek and find and experience joy in your everyday experience. Because what I'm really getting here, I don't know if you guys have ever watched otters, like they have some videos on YouTube that are absolutely adorable. Like they're so fun to watch because the otters are so playful, and it's like every single motion, right? They're so playful, and they have this very lively, vibrant type of energy about them. And so I feel like you have the opportunity to change that. Actually, the word that just came into my head was melancholy. I feel like you've been in this state of melancholy, and you are now being given the opportunity to seek joy and essentially create it. Okay? Because it feels to me like I don't even know how to explain it. It almost feels like there's been this kind of sinking, if you will, in these kind of melancholic or melancholy type of energies, right? Where maybe you've kind of got lost in your own sludge, as it were, and you're being given this opportunity to understand and acknowledge that you can seek and create joy, right? Because like this energy again with the otter is like creating joy out of every single thing that they do. Everything feels very lively and fun. And so it's about, I feel, creating that for yourself, and you have the opportunity to do that, right? But I feel like there's something here about like you have to let joy in. You have to allow it, right? You have to allow yourself to see it and to seek it and create it. We also have the tiger here. It's, how would you say, it's very fascinating to me that it's coming through with this otter energy. I mean, because here we have water and fire, so this is emotions, your spirituality, your intuition, relationships. And then with the fire, it's like your energy, your passion, your drive, your inspiration. And I don't know why, but this tiger looks kind of ticked off. I'm gonna be honest. This tiger looks like ready to like jump on its prey. That's what it seems like to me. Um, so there's an element here, I feel, for some of you, of bringing that play, that joy into what it is you're setting out to do, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I'm very drawn to the fact that there's this moon here on the in this space of the tigers where what we would call third eye. Because it's almost this energy of like, how would you say, like hidden knowledge or hidden awareness, or something to do with your intuition and things being hidden, because the moon often represents like hidden sorts of things. So I feel like also there's this energy with the moon of there being a very fine line between good and bad, if you will, or light and dark. So I feel like there could be something there about gaining that awareness as well, or having an understanding of that. Um, being very deliberate and intentional about that line that you're walking. However, I am going to pull out the guidebook here and take a look at the tiger. Actually, I almost just opened up exactly to it. So, okay, I'm going to read this to you, which is very fascinating to me because, again, we have the otter here, which is that water element energy, which is associated with the feminine, or emotions and things like this. So let's talk about this tiger here. It says lunar force, ease in darkness, feminine energy. The tiger hunts at night, at one with the silence, fearing nothing. This card reminds us to take in the wild darkness, to allow the lunar forces to soothe and heal our spirits. Sensuality, receptivity, and devotion are all heightened in the midnight hour, and the tiger takes advantage of these boons. Spend some time in silence this evening, drinking in the potent calm. There is nothing to fear in the stillness except the awakening of your own power. When in balance, passionate, strong, sensual. When out of balance, overstimulated, to bring into balance, candle gazing. Okay, so right there's that element here. What do you have the opportunity to change? And like I said, there was kind of this melancholy type of like sinking into your own things, your own sludge, your own fears. I'm getting coming up, pardon me, sinking into your own fears and having this opportunity to now find your way out of that. And I feel like through creating joy in your experiences and bringing that into your everyday, I feel like you can change how powerful you do or do not feel. Okay, that's how I'm seeing this. Let's see what else we have here. The rabbit. Yeah, so what's really interesting about the rabbit is somebody who's like paranoid. Okay, so I feel like you have the opportunity to kind of change this paranoia by maybe not taking things so seriously, and having a bit of fun and rediscovering your power through creating joy versus things are shit, they're going to be shit, and they're always going to be shit. Okay, I don't know why. Maybe you've said something like that. But for that to come through, that's kind of interesting. And here's the thing, in the book, right, it says that the rabbit is so worried, so fearful of being the eagle's dinner, and talks about it so much that he actually gives the eagle the idea of swooping down and, snatching him up. Right? So again, it's that energy of like changing what you draw to yourself by bringing joy into your experience and allowing the joy that you create to empower you. Let's see what the tarot has to clarify. We do have here the Seven of Cups in the reverse. And so Seven of Cups, I mean, this is that energy of confusion, right? So I feel like you have the opportunity to like bring through clarity, especially in regards to, let's say, perhaps your purpose. Okay? Because the Seven of Cups can be like searching for purpose, right? So I feel like also having faith, I also feel like there's something there about that. But the thing of it is that you have the option to choose, right? You have the option to choose. So it's interesting to me because the way I often see this card is like you can choose more, right? So there are 6 cups here that are upside down, and you can choose those cups because there's more of them, right? Or you can choose the upward or the upright cup all by itself. And maybe that one cup has something much better than all of those cups combined, right? Like again, you have the option, but the sun is, for me, light, it's purity, it's illumination, it's knowledge, it is love, it is expansion, right? The moon is often, for me, more egoic, more these things that are hidden that control us from behind the scenes, and so darkness also, right? So it's like you can choose, you get to decide. And I feel like what's changing here, should you allow it, or what you have the opportunity to change, is that moving out of that space of feeling like maybe you don't have purpose, of feeling like maybe things aren't going to get better, or that there's no reason to be joyful, or to feel powerful, or to seek any of those things. Right. It's not focusing so much on, let's say, the 6 overturned cups that you've experienced, but focusing more on the one that is in that's still upright, the one that is full of sun or light, or gold, if you will. But again, the choice is yours. What might you be celebrating now or in the future? So we do have the frog here. Interestingly, I feel like there's this energy, which I'm going to read from the book here for this one, but I feel like before we do that, I want to share that the frog it moves from, growing in the water to being on land, and can go back and forth as it wills, right? So it's that very kind of adaptable type of energy that I'm just picking up on intuitively. And I feel like you could be celebrating that in the future, like the ability to navigate situations with much more ease than maybe in the past. Okay. That's how I'm picking this up. Again, navigating emotions, navigating relationships, your intuition, spirituality, feelings, okay, love even. But let's take a look in the book here and see. I want to read to you what it says about the frog and how you can relate that, right, to what you might be celebrating currently or in the future. I do apologize. These are not in like any alphabetical order. So give me just a moment. There we are. Okay. So it says clearing, cleansing, and healing, which, I mean, even before we read the rest of what's here, that's a pretty big reason, and a very exciting thing to be celebrating, whether that be now or later. Okay? That's pretty big. Get out your party hat. It says the frog and the water element are almost inseparable. The frog spends its first months of life entirely within this healing element, and then emerges to rest on land. But no matter how earthly the frog becomes, its need for cleansing and rejuvenation is regular. Frogs tend to become overworked and undernourished, so it's vital that such sensitive creatures practice self-care. This card serves as a reminder that water helps us cleanse, forgive, and release. Time to dive in. Frogs aren't meant to carry a heavy load. When in balance, clear energy and enthusiasm for life. That's big, right? Based on everything we've talked about, you have the opportunity to change here. You could potentially be celebrating that enthusiasm for life returning now or in the future. When out of balance, depleted, running on empty, to bring into balance lake, river, ocean, or bathhouse. Okay, so, I feel like this is pretty powerful because it's saying you have this opportunity to be celebrating healing and cleansing and rejuvenation and finding this enthusiasm for life should you decide to do so. We also have here the Father of Wands. Yeah, and I love this because the Father of Wands here, I mean, this, or King of Wands, is an energy of seeing the bigger picture and overcoming challenges, right? And I mean, when you start to develop this enthusiasm for life, the bigger picture becomes much more clear. It comes into focus a little bit. How would you say? It's almost like someone like gives you the, I don't even know how to explain it really, because it feels like when you are in this kind of depressive state, if you will, or let's say less than optimistic state of being, it's really difficult to see the bigger picture. It's really difficult to back up. And when you start to develop this enthusiasm for life and joy and create it yourself, it becomes much easier to see what is happening. Right? It feels like you have the ability to back up and see things much more clearly. And I feel like this is a big step for you if you're able to do this truly. I also want to say that the Father of Wands or King of Wands is Leo energy, and that Leo energy is very motivated and fun loving, and I don't want to say fiery because that kind of goes without saying, but it's creative, and it's, I don't know, very passionate, but also, from like a leader perspective. And I feel like this is something that could be incredibly beneficial for your overall life experience. Again, should you be able to embody that, should you be able to create this change? Or maybe you are, in which case, bravo. You also have here, okay, that's freaking fascinating AF. Okay. So you do have the Father of Wands here and the Sun. And even though the Sun is in reverse, these are both cards of Leo. Okay. So that to me says I feel like there's, again, this call for you, Gemini, to bring this more fun loving, creative energy into your experience, to find and seek and embody joy every single day to the best of your ability. Now, with the Sun being in the reverse, I mean, again, this is that depressive, negative, sad type of energy that has that inability to see the good things in life. And again, I feel like you're going to be celebrating, or could potentially already be celebrating, seeing things from a very different perspective. Okay, overcoming that negativity, overcoming that depressive kind of energy, and finding a way to see the joy in every single moment of every single day. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, or it has happened overnight. I'm not saying it will or has been easy, right? Depending on where you are, but it is certainly possible. And, this Leo energy coming out here on both sides of this frog tells me as much, right? Because it's saying, because here's the thing, like Leo is very motivated, right? Very passionate and loyal. And so there's this also like that leader type of energy. So it's very much like I'm willing to do whatever it takes, right? I'm willing to focus and be determined and move through and bring through what I need to, right? And again, I feel like the best way to do this is to bring in that playful, fun, warm, loving energy. Okay. So let's get some advice, guidance, encouragement for you, Gemini. We also have here for you serendipity. So, I mean, this for me right now is, again, it's coming through as this energy of finding that serendipitous space within your everyday experiences, or seeking that out, like being very intentional about that, right? And just I just want to share, like, I'm reading this intuitively, okay? But this fairy on here or whatever, if you look closely, which it might be kind of difficult with the ring light there, but her wings look very similar to this moth type of energy here. All right, so this is saying, I feel, to be seeking the things that make you feel fortunate, that make you feel at peace, that make you feel harmonious, that kind of pull you out of those situations, again, where maybe they're not the best for you, or maybe they don't feel so great, or they're not so fun or pleasant or what have you. I do feel like with the serendipity card here being 18, we reduce that to 9, and 9 is that transitionary period. And I feel like this is where you're being carried, right? Like, I feel like this is symbolizing that transition, that moving out of, I don't know, just feeling like, if you look here, there's like tons of plant life down here. So it's like moving out of feeling like you're just blending in with everything, and, you know, not really experiencing things for yourself, or finding the joy in life, and allowing yourself to recognize those things and let it carry you away, let it pull you out of that, I don't know, like that thick, I just keep getting this like thick brush like type energy, even though I know this isn't, it's clearly not brush down here, but that's how I'm picking this up. Let's see what else you have. You also have, yeah, you have peace here, right? You have peace. I mean, literally, kind of, you know, that's essentially what I was just talking about here with this serendipity card, right? I feel like you, again, the guidance here I feel for you is that you have this opportunity to bring this into your experience, to create this balance, or to perpetuate this balance, right? To continue to experience that peace. But there's also here, with the number 23 reducing to 5, and that being that egg there is this element of change happening, maybe things feeling unstable, but being able to create that peace for yourself, because there's an inner knowing, right? Let's see what else we have. A leg up. Yeah. Yeah. You know, this, I just, I feel like this is your leg up. Like, I know that's kind of, that kind of, I don't know, that might sound some type of way, but I feel like this is your leg up. Like, I feel like this is the moment that you have to essentially really let this sink in, and apply it or implement it into your experience, understanding that being aware of these things gives you a leg up. No, they may not be easy to accept. I'm not saying that, you know, a challenge isn't called a challenge because it's simple, but, you know, with this being the number 34 and reducing to 7, that is the number of introspection and reflection, right? It's also a sacred number. It's also a very like divine number. So it's saying, like, you're not doing this alone. You're being given the tools that you need, and are being shown things in order to be able to move through these experiences with a little bit more ease. That doesn't mean you're not going to still experience them, but it's going to take you really allowing yourself to see yourself and see these situations, and to move through them, right? Like, to be very introspective and reflective, and what can I do here to change my experience? And I'm saying that with so much love, because we do live in a world that essentially has an easy button for everything. You literally do not have to leave your house for nothing anymore. And so, you know, we kind of are in this society where we kind of expect things to be easy. And I feel like this card is saying things are not going to be easy, but you do have a leg up, in the sense of you're being given this knowledge, and are being given the awareness here, and have the ability to implement it and integrate it. In addition to that, you also have you know, your angels, your guides, source, God, universe, whatever you like to refer to it as, your higher self, that are trying to help you to see the things that need your attention in order to grow, in order to evolve, and in order to essentially bring that joy, bring that purpose into your experience. And finally, we have observer. Yeah, again, that's that big picture, right? I feel like what we're being told here for you is you have this opportunity to see things from a much different space, much different space. Okay. But it does take you doing the work. It does take you allowing yourself the opportunity to do so, right? Taking the time to get quiet with yourself, taking the time to be introspective, to examine where your thoughts are, where your feelings are, and to trust that what you are being shown is for you, right? Being the observer means not getting caught up in the sludge. It means seeing the things and, how would you say, observing how it might be beneficial for you should you choose to acknowledge it, right? Super fascinating for you, Gemini, but I pray that something here has been helpful for you. If it has, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, subscribing, or commenting below. It really does help the channel to grow and tells YouTube that there may be something valuable valuable here for someone else. It's been an absolute pleasure to read for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I am praying that you find the joy in every experience you have and are able to bring it into your everyday reality, filling yourself up with joy, so much so that you embody it and become it and exude it in every moment. Take care of your beautiful, unique, powerful soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.